But now, ladies and gentlemen, our sixth bout of the card remains under kickboxing rules, and it is set for 3 2-minute rounds in the bantamweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the Dynamic Mortgage Concepts red corner, please welcome Shane Lall.
Shane Lall making his way to the cage, and again, kickboxing rules. One more kickboxing fight before we go back to MMA, and Josh Hernandez next up on the card. But now it will be 125 pounds, so lightning quick will be both of these fighters. Look at the tail of the tape. Shane Lall comes in 0-1. He considers himself a Muay Thai fighter. 2-2 for Ilias El Kasri. So a little more experience for El Kasri.
Can El Kasri legally drink alcohol in this state?
Not in Wyoming? That's a good question in Wyoming. There used to be, I don't think anymore, there used to be called 3-2 beer, Robin, back in the day, where you could drink at 18 years old. At least in Colorado, it used to be a place called the Library I would hang out at when I turned to 18. They had dance night on Sunday nights.
I love it. I love it. Well, this kid's not old enough to do a lot of things, but he is old enough to get in here and fight. And it's going to, you talk about lightning fast at 125 pounds. Lightning fast at 19 years old and 125 pounds.
Well, and then that's the other thing, too. As you get older, especially when you're out of your 20s, speed is something that can be elusive.
Yeah, it's true. We slow down, no question about it. But we get handsomer.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a fine wine.
I don't. I've gotten gruesome in my old age. Man, I'm excited to see these kids fight, man. And tell me about, and tell our viewers who are new to it, tell us about the King of Sparta. Now, and I ask because we're moving between kickboxing and MMA and Muay Thai. Tell us about the King of Sparta.
Well, the King of Sparta, and one of the champions has been here, in LT Nelson. He won it in 2 different weight classes at 155 and 170. And what they do is they start out in the first fight, it's boxing. And for those, there's 8 fighters, and the 4 that advance from boxing go to kickboxing. The 2 that advance from there go into the MMA title bout. One of our last champions, Dustin Jacoby, just fought this past weekend. Last Saturday, he got a knockout in the first round.
That's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
And they get 10 grand.
And his opponent, fighting out of the nutrition company of Cheyenne blue corner, please welcome Ilias El Kasri.
And to kind of finish that up, Dustin Jacoby, who fought Glory Kickboxing, fought for the world title. He last fought in UFC like 8 years ago. Got back in it after he did, getting back into Sparta Combat League, and won that 10 grand in the 205-pound light heavyweight division. And then he came back and now gets knocked out in UFC last Saturday.
Good for him, man. It's a journey, and there's so much to learn when you watch the journeys of these guys. There are setbacks in life. So you're in the UFC and that was your goal. Well, now you're not, but you go a different route, you find different ways, but there's nothing cooler for my money than being the King of Sparta right now. Maybe the King of that way.
Well, and like you talked about being setbacks in life, it kind of happened tonight on the UFC card because people that have watched Ian Hurricane Heinisch, he's the number 15, number 13 ranked UFC fighter at middleweight. He's fought here for Sparta Combat League, tested positive for COVID this morning. His fight against Brendan Allen was canceled.
Yeah, these are the things, You take what life gives you and you figure out how to use it to make you better. And that's what Jacoby did. And, man, you were watching some of these kids, a young kid like this, El Kasri, he may have been fighting for a few years. We see his record already, but this is the beginning of his journey as a martial artist, as an athlete, as an artist, as a man. And it's a beautiful thing to get to see. It's cool that he gets to be on such a big card.
And we'll see his brother a little bit later in the card, JR.
Second. There we go. So before Jeff Cisneros comes up with it, let's change the format for King of Sparta. Boxing, kickboxing, MMA, then left
Ladies and
legs.
gentlemen, this kickboxing
four to
bout is brought to you by Hot Spot Chili. Let's meet our fighters. First, fighting out of the Dynamic Mortgage Concepts red corner, from Baltimore, Maryland, representing peak kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, Shane Apollyon Lall. And his opponent, fighting out of the nutrition company of Cheyenne blue corner, from Rabat, Morocco, representing high altitude martial arts, Smiley Ilias El Kasri.
High altitude altitude fans in the house for certain. They have a few fighters on the card, including Ilias El Kasri and his brother.
Well, you'll notice that they're wearing shin guards, and I believe that was agreed to because of El Kasri's age. Of course, the bone-on-bone still is going to take place through those little shin pads, and it still hurts, trust me, and it doesn't help with the concussive forces at all.
No, definitely not. But I like the fact that you're protecting a fighter young in his career and allowing him to progress in that manner.
You know, if this kid is so fortunate to fight till he's 35 years old, you know, being able to fight in a controlled environment is so good for him.
Well, you look at the fact that when you see now in MMA, when you get fighters in their 30s are – this isn't anymore like it's one of the other sports where when you get to 30s, you're an old man, because now you have that ring savvy to go with it, and you want your body to be young along with it.
Yes.
Front kick there by Shane Lall lands.
I like the look of this fight. Look at the flow from El Kasri, and he'll just wobble back and forth between stands, and that's a very modern, or at least a very sort of this time in history thing, to view stance as a very fluid thing, not just orthodox and southpaw, but multiple stances, thousands of different possible stances. Anything in or out of balance is a stance.
Both these fighters looking for that leg kick counter as well. There's a nice knee to the midsection by El Kasri.
Just flowed smoothly right into it, took the control from the back of the head, and slammed the knee into the breadbasket.
And now as you watch him, he looks calm in the ring where the action's going fast and furious. You see the look on his face. He seems very calm.
That kick to the armpit can really, really take some wind out of you and impact your organs. But excellent job by Lall to catch it and counter.
Lall comes forward. El Kasri goes for the leg strike, doesn't get it.
Lall is fighting a fluid, bouncy, you know, very ever-changing kid. Exactly how you want to do it.
El Kasri scoring as he's backing up, but Lall coming, and he gets the overhand right. Second one misses.
Yeah, Lall is approaching this like a slugger. Elbows in tight, hands up tight, small steps. If this kid's going to take big movements, we're going to take small movements and cut him off.
And he found it with the right. He found a home for the right hand a little bit ago.
Yeah, and he found it by staying in the drama a little longer. He didn't exit too early.
El Kasri now tries with that little side hook kick, gets it to land. But Lall, I think, scoring the better of the strikes. But let's hear what J.R. Gordon says from that first round.
Actually, I saw just a little different than what she did. I had it about 50-50 as far as aggression. Each of them spending some time moving forward, each of them spending some time on their defense. I thought the more impactful of the strikes were landed by El Kasri, so I have it for him. Slim margin, but a 10-9 round nonetheless.
No, and JR, there's no doubt there. I think that he threw the more aggressive of the strikes. Lall looked busier early in the round, as you see the replay here.
Yeah, I like the way Lall's approaching El Kasri, but El Kasri's flicking his weapons out the way you snap a towel. And that's how you create maximum force. You start in a position of tension, then you become relaxed and elastic as you express the weapon, and then tense at the bottom. And so you're seeing shots like that from him, those whipping shots, and those are very, very impactful.
El Kasri able to lean back and avoid a shot as well. Here we go, seconds out, ready for round two.
That's one of the things I've noticed tonight from some of these fighters. You know, people are definitely working the fundamentals and the basics, but they also just have real young fighters that have this proprioception. There's just awareness of where they are in space. And El Kasri is always aware of where his head is compared to his feet and compared to your weapons.
Lall coming back with the right hand, but El Kasri again with the front kick. Both fighters kick at the same time. That's a slip.
I just absolutely love how different they both are. It's like, you know, if you see any two artists, they're individuals, and you see the stance, the movement, the choices, you know, they're just such individuals.
Turning side kick by El Kasri, that scored as well. Able to lean away from the strike from Lall.
El Kasri's doing a lot more moving. You see the real estate. He's over in one corner. He's forcing Lall to move towards him. Lall's doing a very good job of using small steps to counter the big movements.
Axe kick to the, yep. And I've seen that snap some collarbones in the past.
Yeah, it's a wonderful weapon that originates, and it's a weapon that you could put to any martial art, but Taekwondo uses it beautifully.
Yeah, Taekwondo is where you see that spinning hook kick did not land.
El Kasri landed a very, very stinging punch of his own, but Lall landed a couple of big ones in the exchange before.
El Kasri continues to move.
That's his game.
Throws out that jab. Lall coming in.
He's real aware, too. This isn't a very large cage. It's neither the biggest nor the smallest. It's what I consider perfect for action. But it is easier to corner somebody. For Lall, it may be a little easier to cut off the movement, but El Kasri is forcing him to chase.
There he is, throwing it out there again, scoring with the left, coming up with the kick. There was the inside crescent as well.
Yeah, sick. This kid's throwing hook kicks, inside crescent kicks, axe kicks.
Yeah, he's got the full agenda. Let's go to JR.
Well, El Kasri continued to do a great job with his fluidity and a little more defensive on his footwork that time, which is why I'm going to give that round to Lall. Lall able to track him down. He's managing his distance better, and when he did track him down, he put that power to use and landed some more impactful strikes than what he had in round one. So I have a 10-9 for Lall that round.
And again, managing the distance is one of the keys to winning any kind of fight and having significant strikes land.
Yeah, you understand where your opponent is and what will hit him. You understand what dangers are there and what will hit you. And you understand how to manipulate that space. It's really at its highest levels, and I know this sounds overly dramatic, but fighting is there. Look at the lean away right hook. Fighting is a manipulation of time and space in combat. The space between you is the time you have. And the time you have is controlled by the distance, how fast you move through distance. So it's a fascinating thing. And that idea of controlling space becomes more and more difficult to do as your opponent gets better and better at doing it as well.
All right, here we go, third and final round. JR has it 1 round apiece. We'll see what we have here in store at the third and final round as Lall goes downstairs for the opening kick.
It's really important to know sort of what scoring.
Big right hand.
Yeah.
Big overhand right there scored.
Yeah, turned his hip nicely and just drove it right in. But it's interesting, our observations about scoring are for the audience, and the audience will do their own as well, and JR will contribute it. But we all know that you have to convince the 3 human beings sitting here, and they are human. And one of them may be more impressed by hook kicks and spin kicks than the other. So the job is those 3.
Well, El Kasri has landed a front kick. He's had 2 turning side kicks that have both landed now. So El Kasri kind of finding his groove. But right when he does, Lall goes downstairs. And that leg kick can just keep you off balance enough.
Lall is a very good fighter and he's a very good fighter for fighting this type of fight. He just continues. He doesn't get discouraged. He continues to hunt.
Another big inside leg kick.
Very tough one to score. I'm glad we got JR here to do that on our behalf, but I do not envy the 3 people here. It's a very difficult one to interpret.
No, and we can sit there and call the action what we think it is, but every judge has a different vantage point of this fight.
Yeah, and they don't have, we at home and we here, we have a camera angle that's ever changing. They have their perspective only.
Well, we got the last 30 seconds here, so we'll see if somebody can steal the last part of this round. El Kasri came out with a little bit of flash to start things out.
Expect him to do something flashy in the last 20 seconds. Spinning hook kick, perhaps.
Lall going downstairs. He scored several times with the leg kick.
Lall's taking away that chance to do this spectacular movement just by
spinning back fist, then follows up with the right after the miss on the spinning back fist. Then a couple of lefts scored.
Yeah, Lall was doing a great job of taking that away, and then El Kasri fed him the spinning punch. They say that chaos is just patterns you don't yet understand, but El Kasri understands and creates the patterns here to land his strikes. That really was an awesome last 30 seconds.
Missed with that Superman punch, JR, but you saw him continue to score with some nice combinations.
He really did. Both those guys continue to implement their game plans almost the same as they had from the beginning. In that final round, Lall able to land with his power strikes, able to track down El Kasri a couple times. But El Kasri, I gave that final round 10-9 basically because of his accuracy and his distance management and his volume in the final probably 30 seconds of the fight and the last 10 seconds especially.
So he threw the round kick and then retreated. And you see Lall move in, and this is where he's taking away any chance for the flash. Or
by getting close in.
Yeah, and yes, but then as soon as he's pushed back by El Kasri, we've got a right hand, we've got a high kick to a spin to a right hand.
Right with that right hand, missed with the spinning back fist, but that right hand scored. That was one of the best punches of the fight.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, We're humans. The three humans sitting there are impressed by that because it's a beautiful thing to see. Movement feeds into movement. There are really only two types of attack, direct and indirect. And the spins were indirect attacks creating a direct attack. It's simple art of war philosophy, but if you continue to move, you can continue to create offense.
Well, the judges trying to figure this one out at ringside, and Big Mo's getting the scorecards now. This will be interesting because I think this is one of the closest fights we've had tonight.
And one of the funnest.
All right, we go. Big Mo has made his way to the cage.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 full rounds, we go to your judges' scorecard for the official decision. Judge number 1 scores at 29-28, Lall. Judge 2 scores at 29-28, El Kasri. And judge number 3 scores about 29-28, declaring your winner by split decision, Shane Lall.
Listen, a close fight. I thought it kind of gone either way, and it did. I went Lall was a little bit busier at times. Came forward not quite as flashy as El Kasri.
That was a hard fight for Lall to win, and I absolutely thought he easily could have won it. I'm glad I didn't have to make that choice, but it was a very difficult fight to win. You've got a very innovative and improvisational moving opponent to track down, and he did it beautifully.
And again, when you take a look at El Kasri, just 19 years old, had the opportunity to really show some flash in that cage, but comes up on the short end of a split decision.
Shane Lall, that was one heck of a fight. You went to the decision, won the split decision against a very game opponent. How are you feeling right now?
Feeling great, feeling comfortable. My team got me prepared, came back with the W.
You know, it seemed like you went against a really high-quality kicker, but your high guard was impeccable tonight, and it seemed like you had the advantage on the hands, and you seemed content to just walk him down and throw. Was that the game plan for you coming into this?
Yes, my team told me to walk him down, you know, and then I have a good boxing background. So once I got inside the distance, then that's when the boxing came out.
Shane, it was a great performance. Do you have anybody you want to thank tonight?
I want to thank God first, my parents, my team, Devlin Dragonfly, Professor Mike Friesall, Coach Moda, Aaron Savage Lopez, everybody at Peak. They got me prepared and I was ready to go.
Congratulations, Shane. Shane Lall, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, there it is. Shane Lall getting the split decision win over El Kasri.